You guys are ready for another DevNation Tech Talk? I know I'm ready. I hope Max is ready because he's got to do the presentation today. And Dilari, I saw your question just now about having an attachment for Outlook, an iCal invite. That is something that we are trying to do for the event confirmation email, as well as maybe add it to the website. So look for that in the future. It's just not something we have figured out technically right now, but all the events we're running. So thank you all for being here. I see a ton of people. Noticing there's a trend with all these people who speak Portuguese, it seems like, on our chat today. But what we want you to do is put your questions in the chat. Throw them in there real time. Hey, Aaron, I see you also. Fantastic. So it's good to see Aaron Walker here as well. He and I go way back. And a Pratik Patel. Well, he's Pratik. I'm kidding. Pratik, good to see you from Atlanta. Great stuff there. We're going to actually have a lot of fun today. So we're going to be talking about Quarkus, and Max has got a lot of really awesome tips and tricks for us. He's going to show us in a nice live stream right now. But again, your questions should go into the chat, and we'll ask them. We'll send them to Max towards the end. So Max, at this point, take it away.
Okay. Well, thank you. So I'm Max Anderson, senior engineer at Red Hat, working on Quarkus, and I'm going to talk about some tips, tricks, and techniques, especially on development. First a little bit, I did a few years ago, I was, after 20 years of working with Java, getting kind of frustrated in Java Enterprise and developer tools. So I actually kind of said, hey, this can't be the only thing we can do. So I actually spent 2 years doing Go, and after those 2 years, I just kind of dropped everything and just left for a year. And that year I actually had fun with Python. But in that year, I also started hearing about this product called Quarkus. And I hope everyone knows about Quarkus, but anyway, in short term, it's a framework we're doing on Red Hat side in the community. It's all about being fast and use less memory, use less CPU, refresh the program model, use the best libraries, and etc. But all that stuff, which is about speed and performance on the production side and give you money, or save you money. It's not what I'm going to talk about. I want to talk about developer joy and having fun doing it, which is why I like Quarkus. Is it did all this stuff, but it also made it fun for me to use. So I'm going to talk. I'll show you some IDEs we have for this. You don't need it, but I want to show it to you anyway. I'm going to talk about this thing called Dev Mode, Quarkus Dev Mode, which is the thing that makes this whole run. I'm going to introduce you to Command Mode, which is a new feature that's coming up in 1.4. It's going to release anytime soon. And if time permits, I'm going to show you a thing called ngrok and Wireshark, which is not unique to Quarkus, but fits very well into the whole model. And then we'll summarize that. So anyway, the IDEs. We have a set of tools for Quarkus called Quarkus Tools. As I said, you don't need them. You can use the normal Notepad and the command line if you want to. But we have it in Che, IntelliJ, Eclipse, and VS Code. And I'm going to jump in to Che over here. Che, for those who don't know, is a web IDE running in the cloud. You can use it today. Go to Che OpenShift.io and get started. And in there, you can choose Quarkus. It's one of those options there. And what I have here is just me having starting the default one. And there's, Eclipse Che, and I can do different things. So I'm going to start the development server. Oh, I already did start it. Doesn't matter. Here we go. It's running on this port. Show it here. This is a little app. If you tried Quarkus before, there shouldn't be any surprises. And I go and just goes, for example, it says, hello, is this default little app. And I can add a greeting, say DevNation. And I'll stress to you, I haven't installed anything. I'm just running a browser. I'm going to just say, debug this thing. I know there's a little where it actually does the hello. Oh, I'm going to do the right file. Here we go. I'm going to put a breakpoint, and I reload again, and you see it's there. I'm now in the debugger. I can see the different places as you used to, but all in the cloud. But the real power is that I also can just change coding here. Again, nothing fancy. We'll just change this, create a method, and we're just going to do name of the string, for example. Well, if I could spell uppercase, I save it, I reload it, and the great thing, come on, there we go, hello DevNation. So again, this is the typical little demo you see if you're using Quarkus for the first time. And I'm just the thing I want to show you here is in the web on the cloud. So if you after this want to try it, go to OpenShift.io and off you go. So let me step back to the other IDEs. So these tools that I showed to start and stop them is in Quarkus tools, and again IntelliJ, Eclipse, and VS Code. And VS Code is the thing I'm going to show you rest of the time today. So, what is this Quarkus Dev Mode? It's kind of a side effect of how Quarkus work. So again, just very quickly, what a normal framework does, it does a little thing at build time, and then every time you start, it goes through loading classes, loading configuration, building up, and then you run. And that's every time you start. Quarkus kind of flips it around and moves all that stuff to build time, and meaning the delta between you're done in the build and run is very, very small. And that is not only something useful for production, but also for our development mode. And if you do a normal dev mode kind of thing, user a bit upside down, you write code, you have to restart your app, you have to do a request, you come back, and you might have an EAP or Wildfire or Tomcat that kind of, when you do a change, it will reload the app, meaning even if you didn't want to have a change, you have a reload. In Quarkus, we kind of flipped it around, that you can write all the code you want, and we put your app in a little shell, and we treat it like a little cattle instead of a unicorn that we can just kind of just remove and start again, because we can do that very fast. And then we only do it on your request coming in, meaning you don't have unnecessary restart. That combination makes it super, super fast, and you have this what I call developer joy. So let me show you how that looks like in VS Code. So again, I'm here in VS Code. I have Quarkus tools installed. I have, in this case, I have a to-do app. Now let me go here. And before I just kind of showed you a basic hello world, this is actually a full-on real app. It has a front end built in Vue, and I can say, hey, DevNation. And this actually goes through Hibernate and into a database I have running. Oh, where are we? There's a console. I have a Postgres database running. Doesn't have to be Postgres, but just to show this is actually a full app. And the cool thing is here I can add and change things as I want. I'll show you the database, for example. Here I'm actually connected to my database. And again, we have the to-do. You see these are the completed ID ordering title. It matches the entity over here, which is a Panache entity, which is another thing we have in Quarkus to make things simpler. And I'm just gonna, just as a to-do item, I'm gonna add, like getting things done, I'm gonna add a context. So I'm gonna put public string context, save it, go back and just reload that over here, and you'll actually see, oh, I got an error, great. Demo boss, let's see. There we go. If you missed it, you make it a bit too far. It actually added the context, and that was just me. That was me changing, doing a reload, and off we are. And again, that is fully starting a Hibernate persistent layer, JPA, the whole stack in under a sub-second. Okay. Furthermore, we can also not just change configuration and database, code and the database, we can also edit the properties. So again, this application properties is from the traditional Quarkus setup, and for some reason I can't move my window. Ah, come on. There we go. I'm getting blind and old. Anyway, so what I'm going to show here is the database, the application configuration. I have things like templates that can add in code. There's content assist. Again, all based on Quarkus extension model. Now I get all these yellow lines. These are because they're duplicates. If I remove them, that'll be good. And the awesome thing is I have access to all the properties that my app is configured for. But what if I want to do, for example, like Open API or Swagger, and it's not here. So, well, let's see if this works. I'm gonna do Quarkus add extension, and we'll show this starting up. And for some reason that was failing. I'm just gonna show this again. Give me 2 seconds. So yeah, demo gods are good with me. Here we go. Just starting up VS Code. For some reason it didn't want to talk to me. I'm going to start the app again. And go. Of course nothing works. Okay, I'll explain what I was going to show. I was going to show that I could add OpenAPI to the app, and when I'm in the app, the settings in here will just reflect that reality. Okay. So let me move on to the next one. And I have a freeze here. Blue Jean is not playing nice with me. Okay, water.
I still see you.
I think I'm back to control again.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, command mode. This is a very new feature in Quarkus, which is coming out anytime soon. All the stuff I've been doing right now has just been kind of front-end development. Not front server-biased development for Quarkus. Console mode, command mode is where we allow you to write CLIs in you can do batch operations, and if you want to go really crazy, you can run Swing and Java apps if you wanted to. But for us, the main focus is allowing you to run these apps, having access to rich API as you want in a plain app. But the cool thing is, and hopefully that works now when I go back to my VS Code, is it works with dev mode. Okay, let's try this again and see what happens. Good, so I actually prepared a CLI in here. This will show you how it works. So I have a to-do CLI. It implements the Quarkus application, and it has a notation that says Quarkus main that kind of indicates here's a Quarkus app that we can run. I can just put this run method, do a setup, and off we go. But the cool thing is that besides having a hook in for startup, there's also a main method. And one thing that we've heard people complain or find a bit annoying is that they had to use Maven Quarkus Dev or Gradle Dev, etc., and can't run directly from the IDE. Well, now you can. So, assuming this works, hopefully it does. Yeah, I have a little bit delay, unfortunately. That's up, it runs, and runs a basic app. Let me make sure I kill the stuff that was left over here. There we go. So again, that's not very fun. It doesn't do anything. So I'm going to put in a little app here saying out. Oh, sorry. I'm going to take this and run it in dev mode. I'm going to copy this thing. Here you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my app Quarkus Dev. The main class is the to-do thing. And with an argument, let's call it Quarkus. And my idea is I want to run an app that has that goes and finds these to-dos that starts with Quarkus. So I'm just going to put this in Quarkus Dev mode, and it will start up. Take a few seconds. Apparently, because I'm running streaming, it's a bit slow. But I'm going to write my code now. So, for example, war query, I'll say args length is equal to 0. My machine is going crazy. And I'll say if there's no arguments, we are just going to do list all. And if there is an argument, I'm not going to go list. I'm going to say find. And we're going to say that was the title like. That's 1. And we're going to make that the arc here 0. Oh, and we're going to list it. So nothing special, and I'll just say for that query, go and say for each, and go out print line. So this should, for every argument, well, the first argument go in, print, do the query, and print the results. So I save, and you'll see here the command mode is running in dev mode. I'd say if I put enter restart, I'm gonna run the same app. I have to say it's pre-compile and recompile the thing, and it restarts it. And you'll see there's all this noise, but it didn't find anything. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna change the application properties. I have a profile. In this case, I'm gonna call it CLI. And since we're out of time, I'm just gonna copy in these different things. What these do is just make the output a bit more friendly for CLI. And since I put the profile in the command line, it should pick it up. You see now it's actually, no logs comes out. Everything's fine. But why is it not showing the data? Well, I did a mistake here. I'll put in that one, so that it actually will shoot for query. And if I'm lucky now and press enter, it's going to do the whole thing again and show you, there's Quarkus website and star Quarkus website, which were those two to-dos, right? So that gives us command mode. And again,
there is a question on command mode that we should just try real quick. Pratik wants to know if all the features of Quarkus are available in command mode, like panache, messaging, and
Yes, it is. So I didn't do it, but basically here, oops. What I actually did here, this line here, I hope we can remove in the future. But right now, what this does, it starts the CDI container, and I'm actually here. I'm calling into.
You're not sharing the right screen.
Oh, sorry. That's what. Right, sorry.
There we go.
I started the container. That's the line I say. I hope in the update 1.5.1.6 we don't have to do this. But this allows me to access panache things. So these are actually the to-do panache things I'm doing here. So you can do injection, you can do CDI, which is the reason why this is so powerful. You basically get access to all that behavior in there. You can also do stuff like listen for events and CDI and unstart and stop. You can even have your CLI serving out a server too. So the whole power of Quarkus is available to you in this. Hope that answers your question for that one. Okay, there we go. The next one I want to touch on again is I showed you all these tools that we kind of have now. I want to show you how another tool we can use together with Quarkus or anything else. ngrok is this a service where you can actually open up your app to the outside world, either for you to show to a colleague somewhere else, or for you to browse on a phone over the mobile network if that's what you want to test. And I'm going to do that by changing the POM file. Oh, and I need to remember I have to stop this. I need to go back to running. I'm going to run the actual app again. So now I'm not using the CLI, I'm running the full app. While that's starting, I'm going to add in a few things.
Are you showing us the correct screen?
I'll share the correct screen, sorry. Here,
yeah,
I'm back to the editor. I started the app. I'm going to add in a little thing here. Jetpack, for those who don't know, is a little site that can take any existing GitHub repo and publish it as a Maven artifact. So what I'm using here is that there's a guy who did this extension for ngrok. He hasn't published anywhere, but I'm literally just using it. And everything. So I added dependency to the ngrok, and now when we start, yeah, it takes a few seconds more here because I'm actually doing a full Maven build. And again, the network is a bit funny for me. There you go. And you'll see I actually have these ngrok sites. Unfortunately, you're a bit delayed, so I can't give you the URL, but if someone can read it here, you can do. And I'm actually now accessing my URL over the network. And I can do that as I want. And I can do, again, reload, etc., and show the app. But the other cool thing is you get this little interface called localhost 4040, which we'll see. It shows me all the interaction that goes on between the app and that endpoint. From the browser and to the endpoint. So I can see the headers, I can see the raw, I can see the binary. And again, this is all free to use. If you pay, you get a stable URL, but for just development and debugging your headers and etc., and exposing a service without having to use remote deployment, etc., it's a very quick and dirty way. Plus, you get this whole debug experience on top of it. Okay, and I think my timing is a bit off, but anyway. Wireshark, I'll not demo it just for demo wise, but I'll just tell you, if you want it, the ngrok is, again, it's open up an endpoint to the internet. So of course there might be some security issues, but if you want to do it locally, Wireshark is a tool that allows you to hook up into your local network card, and you can trace all the traffic. And I'll show you, I would have showed you if I had time, that you could inspect anything and see the headers, see the traffic going over, whether it's WebSocket, HTTP2, or any other kind of traffic. Okay, so what just happened besides me failing showing one of the features here? I use Quarkus. I think I deployed maybe 6 or 8 times successfully. It just kind of works. What didn't work here was the IDE failing on me, but Quarkus, it was in dev mode, and just listening to changes, and when I needed it, it restarted for me. And what I hoped to also get to was there was very little config of any sort. I could change config if I wanted to and see the changes, but there's no extra install. For example, the ngrok I did here, it actually downloaded the binaries for me. This whole idea of being fast, just working, and little install and config is kind of what drives all the stuff I'm doing, or we're doing, around developer experience. Another aspect is our whole Kubernetes OpenShift deployment that we've done in the last release, where there's, again, zero config, you don't have to install anything, and it generates a deployment for you, and you deploy to OpenShift or Kubernetes in a very consistent way. But even better is that all this things built into Quarkus is extendable. So we added ngrok, we added the OpenAPI, if that worked. But others like the Bisham, doing Kafka or Camel, and in this case we did Hibernate, is all done by extensions you add on top. It can hook into this whole library load mode or dev mode, and it just works. Which is what I think is the great thing about Quarkus, is it allows me to fail, but still just experiment, and it just works. I don't have to jump between things. It just kind of let me have fun. And that's kind of what I was hoping to get to, and hope have some questions. But yeah, it's all about development for me. And back to you, Bert.
Yeah, well, actually, there's an interesting question related to the IDE integration you were just talking about. It's from Amet, and it's a pretty good one. So it's related to the Eclipse debugger. Essentially, it's losing connection to the Quarkus dev mode after a few Quarkus dev restarts. So any thoughts on that?
That's a new one to me. I've done the debug thing Well, actually, I know why. I can understand why it does it, but that's actually I've used VS Code and IntelliJ lately, and what I do is because it's so fast, I connect to debugger every time. But I would say if you could open a bug, because I think we should at least either fix it on the Eclipse side so it can be easier to do, but maybe even better on our dev mode side that we can keep that port open and keep it alive. So I think that's something we can improve.
Okay, but that's a good point. You basically are connecting to the debugger every time, as opposed to trying to keep it always on, always connected.
Yeah, and yes, that is true. So, but he should open a bug. We should fix that because, like we do for the browser, we literally keep the connection alive between restarts. We should be able to do the same thing for the debugger.
Okay, a couple other questions here, and that is: would dev mode be a replacement for JRebel?
Yes. So I'll say it's a replacement for what JRebel did in the past and what JRebel did. We actually thought we had to do similar, where you modify the class loader and have fun of replacing things on the go. But it turns out, when we actually created Quarkus and got it working, it was so fast we didn't need those tricks. Meaning a lot of the downsides of JRebel disappears. Like if you use JRebel enough, you end up sometimes in a bad state and have to restart. Those doesn't happen in Quarkus because you're literally restarting the whole app. We might in the future do something similar, but we just haven't seen apps yet having the problem. So we haven't spent some time on it. So the answer is yes, but because we don't need it. It does the same feature.
And another question that I think it was Alexei again, if I recognize the pattern of the name there. He's been with us this week talking to us. But the question, I guess basically more a point. Quarkus is rather nice because of the native integration native application creation from GrailVM or with GrailVM. So I don't think you really touched on the GrailVM aspects within this presentation, other than it is related to command mode as well, right?
Yeah, so no, I didn't. GrailVM is fantastic, and the way we use it to get even more performance out of a thing and get like subatomic. I didn't touch it on here because the downside of GrailVM is the developer joy is not as fun because a compile takes time, right? So all the fun I had here with dev mode is not feasible with GrailVM. But the feature command mode does work there. So you can literally build this command mode and compile it for a native image and run it as a single binary and have a CLI written in Quarkus. Yeah. Yeah.
And someone wants to know when JBang is going to have that Quarkus command mode integrated. That's Aaron Walker, by the way. Aaron Walker wants to know.
Yeah, we'll see. So JBang is a product I created over Christmas. I'm actually going to talk about this here in end of May. And right now we don't need dev mode there, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay. I don't see any other questions here. I did appreciate the overall presentation, though, Max. It's always fun to get a tips and tricks session where people are showing you different things that happen within the IDE or other integrations. Like the ngrok thing I was unaware of, and that's pretty awesome all by itself. So I'm glad to see that one there. And then the... I'm just looking at the other list of things here. I did provide all the links out to the chat already, so those went out in the chat. There'll be you guys can come back to this URL in the future, and you will see the slide deck and things like that uploaded. Obviously, you can always email us directly. If you can see Max's Twitter handle right there. I did add the Twitter link to Max out in the chat, so you guys have that. And let's see here. And so one last comment. That's true. True meaning I think the GrailVM mode. Significantly less or decrease in resource consumption for your application, right? Less resources for your application.
Yeah.
An extension for OAuth 2. Have you seen an extension for OAuth 2 come in recently?
I don't know I know there's some work on it, but I don't know the status of it.
Okay. And then Sebi, who's also on the chat right now, maybe he's more familiar with that. He's our OAuth expert. but associated with Keycloak project. So Keycloak, you have OAuth 2. I'm just not sure about the extension and how it'd be integrated into Quarkus.
Yeah, we have a yeah. I don't know enough, so I'll be saying wrong things.
Okay. And then one last question about reactive resources. We have the guides. So basically all our documentation exists at Quarkus.io website, and that includes all the reactive documentation that's there. I'm not aware of any body of documentation outside of Quarkus.io. Are you aware of any?
No, well, there's a few books now. There's one book published, and there's one or two books on its way. And if you go on Quarkus.io, the blog, we have a newsletter where we actually the main focus of that newsletter is actually to talk about stuff that is outside Quarkus.io. So there is a lot of blogs, videos. There's a few YouTube channels that are doing Quarkus stuff. So that's the best place I know to find outside Quarkus.io content.
Okay. All right. Are there more sessions planned? Nothing about Quarkus in the last email. Oh, well, there's today's session, but there's a lot of sessions. So I think the question is, for DevNation in particular, you're going to see a lot more DevNation next Thursday. We're going to do a Knative special session next Thursday, but come May, we're taking basically the rest of April off, if you will, except for next Thursday, because next week is Virtual Summit. But come May, we're going to be doing sessions pretty much every day in May. Do look for this type of Tech Talk on Thursdays. We're actually going to be doing 2 Tech Talks per Thursday. We're going to be launching a Friday Tech Talk as well. And then, of course, the master courses will be scheduled that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday again, depending on instructor availability. So if you enjoyed the master courses, we're going to be bringing up new ones and repeating many of the existing ones all throughout May and then into June. Okay? Well, I think that is all we have time for today. I thank you all so much for your participation today. Oh, wait, let's see. One last question here from Ryan Clark. Any way to leverage the supersonic subatomic aspects of Quarkus prior to the full code conversion of containerizing the application? Thinking of leveraging GraalVM or a Quarkus-based container. So I think what he's saying from that question, right, is yes, you can go supersonic subatomic, if you will, with just a JVM running in a CLI mode, which is basically what Max showed today, or you can run it as a fat jar, right, with a web endpoint. You can run that like anything else. You can fully containerize it, but you don't have to. And you can fully make it GraalVM native, but you don't have to. So all of those options exist when it comes to running your fast Quarkus applications.
Yeah, as for me, when I'm out talking, I always keep. There's been a lot of GraalVM and native image, which is very important for the very tight one. But what I was hoping to show is that the gain is a lot on the developer side, and mind you, the VM mode is actually not that like compared to existing VM stuff. Quarkus is still like 30, 40, 60% smaller for those typical workloads. So you don't have to do either or. You can kind of choose which one fits your deployment, your mode of interaction.
Okay. One more question. We'll just take it. We're kind of over time, but does Quarkus do built-time bytecode weaving? Have you seen anything for bytecode weaving?
Well, weaving. So I'm not sure. Well, we do built-time bytecode enhancements, and part of what the extension do is, first of all, tell Quarkus which pieces are for build time, which are for runtime, and in there you can do tricks like we are manipulating things in there. So, for example, Panache is done by bytecode weaving to make the API for usability. So you can do the same thing. We don't have let's say a nice end user way to do it, and I'm not sure we ever will have, but the technique is there, and you can do it if you want to. And I suggest you show up on Quarkus Dev and ask for what you're looking for, and we can point you in the direction of what it is.
Okay. Well, I think that is all we have time for. I did add one last link for you guys on the chat, basically the upcoming events. So the question about what more DevNation content is coming, you kind of follow that URL, and you'll see different things showing up as we get them scheduled. And those web pages will keep getting updated all the time. So that's the dn.dev/upcoming link. Definitely watch out for that. If you are signed up for any one of our events, you're on the email list for future notification. So just bear that in mind too. You will get an email, normally from me at Red Hat kind of thing, that will come out to you based on when we get the new content scheduled. But we do look forward to that, and we will be bringing a lot more things. Okay. And thank you so much for your time today, Max. It was really awesome. I enjoyed it. I always enjoy these kind of tips and tricks sessions. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And for all of you guys out there, stay safe, stay well. We will be back with you guys next Thursday for another session. And then, of course, all throughout May, you'll see us. But do show up for Virtual Summit next week, too. We're going to have a lot of fun with that, including a live demo on Wednesday, which might go completely sideways on us, but it'll be a lot of fun. All right. See you guys later. Thank you so much.
Thank you.